Hello everybody, June here, and so here we are, another full trip around the sun. 2022 was kind of crazy and I had really high highs and actually not that many low lows, but the biggest thing that I accomplished in 2022 was finishing my PhD, which I think is probably the biggest accomplishment of my life. And so 2023 has a lot to live up to, but I'm not one for New Year's resolutions. I just don't find them useful or motivating, but I do have goals. Unlike in previous years, I don't have any Make 9 for this year. I don't have any specific patterns that I want to make. I do, however, have goals and skills that I would like to accomplish, or at least try. And for this video, I'm basically breaking down those skills into three sections. So this is not like my life, right? This is just as far as this channel goes. So I've broken it down into sewing goals, knitting goals, and then goals for the channel as a whole. So let's start with the sewing goals. First, I want to make a pair of pants using the top down, center out method that was engineered, I suppose, by Ruth from Ithaca Maven on Instagram, and I'll leave a link to her Instagram below. And this is a system that it's pretty new, but it really goes kind of against everything that we have traditionally associated with pants fitting. And I have avoided pants for a while just because of the way that I'm shaped, and like sweatpants don't count. But I really want to try my hand at making some trousers that actually fit using that method. I know other people who have had a lot of success with this method. So one of my goals for this year is to at least attempt to do this. And now there is, Ithaca Maven, Ruth engineered this system, but now there's a series of videos on the Crooked Hems YouTube channel, which I'll also put a link below, where she walks you through every step of the process. So I think that will definitely make my goal attainable, or at least easier to attempt. My second goal for 2023 when it comes to sewing is to actually photograph more of the things that I make, more of the clothes that I make. There's actually a lot of things I made in 2021 and 2022 that I didn't photograph, and I definitely didn't talk about here for a variety of reasons. Yes, I was busy working full time and trying to finish my dissertation, but also I kind of got lazy. And there's a lot of things that I made that I just didn't share, and I want to be more I want to do more of the sharing. I want to do more of the pictures, and talk about the things that I make a little bit more. This is just something that I enjoy doing, and honestly, I miss doing it when I wasn't doing it. So hopefully going forward, I'll do a little bit more of that. My third goal for sewing this year is to actually keep better track of the things that I make. I want to include things like swatches in how I keep track of these things. I already keep track of the things that I make, the pattern, size, alterations, etc. electronically, but obviously you can't add a swatch electronically. So I'm not going to fully transition to analog, but in addition to my electronic records, I'm going to keep an analog catalog of the things I make that includes a swatch. And this was not my idea. I actually learned about this from a friend of mine on Instagram. I'll put her link down below as well. She has been doing this for some time, and I think it's genius. And another thing that would be involved in that is actually keeping track of how many yards I sew. I have never done this. I've never kept track of how much I buy. I've never kept track of how much I use. But I'm not interested in keeping track of how much I buy because I enjoy buying the fabric and that's its own hobby, but I do want to know how much I sew. I think it's an interesting thing to know. And I'm hoping to be able to keep better track of this. Now, I am not a numbers person, friends. I am absolutely not a numbers person, but this should be simple enough, I guess. My fourth goal for sewing this year is to keep improving my tailoring and pattern making skills. This is something that I've been doing since just before the pandemic started at FIT, so at the Fashion Institute of Technology here in New York. I've been taking classes, and I didn't take classes last year because I was working full time and trying to finish my dissertation. But I do want to continue developing that skill because I enjoy it, because I think it's useful, and it's just really fun. And even if I have no interest in doing pattern making professionally or tailoring professionally, it definitely helps with the things that I make for myself. And I've seen that already, even though I've only taken a handful of classes. So this is something that I definitely want to work towards this year. Goal number 5 for 2023 when it comes to sewing is to actually challenge myself with more complicated projects. Now, there are two types of people who sew. There is the process people, and then there is the product people. I am definitely a product person. To me, I mean, obviously I enjoy the sewing process, but that is not what sewing is for me. Sewing for me is about the thing at the end. And so because of that, I tend to choose projects that are quick, that are sort of searching that instant gratification aspect, which is fine because the things that I tend to wear are simple. But even though I gravitate towards simple things that I can make quickly, I also have this deep-seated desire to make things that are very complicated, especially things that require a lot of fitting. I try to shy away from that just because I know they're not quick, not because I don't think I can do it. So basically, I want to give myself permission, I suppose, to start projects that I know are going to take me a long time, and projects that are more complicated than, a dress. And so this is something that I just want to do going forward. And I think it's something that I would also want to do in the rest of my life, because I'm very much an instant gratification kind of person. And sometimes I do things that are going to give me a result quickly versus taking the time to do the thing that is going to truly give me a level of satisfaction that a knit dress just won't. My sewing goal number 6 for this year, and this is something that I don't think I've ever actually talked about, but like every year I think about it. The goal is to sew more from the Burda Style magazines. I know you can't really see it back here, but like these shelves are full of Burda Style issues. I have subscribed since early, I think March, April maybe, 2009. So I have a lot of Burda issues, and I don't actually sew with them all that often. Again, this goes back to the previous thing about instant gratification. Burda Style patterns, they require quite a bit of fitting. You have to trace them, you have to add seam allowance, so there's a lot more process that needs to go into the in place before you can actually have the thing. And so I guess these two goals sort of come together in a funny way. But yes, to make more of the Burda Style magazines. And another reason that I haven't actually sewn a lot from them is that, to me, looking at Burda Style is kind of the equivalent of looking at a Vogue magazine for not ready to wear, but like ready to wear fashion, like couture fashion maybe even. So I've seen them more as aspirational than actually practical to make. So that is something that I definitely want to do going forward, if for no other reasons that I feel like my money's been spent wisely. And my goal number 7 and final goal for sewing for 2023, and this is something that I say every year, at least to myself, is to sew more fabric from my stash. This is like the perennial sewing goal. I have an enormous stash, and the problem is that one, I get easily overwhelmed with choice, and 2, since I moved to this apartment, they're all neatly packed in tubs and kind of out of sight, so I can't see them. Which means I forget about them. And so going forward into this year, I want to make it a point to sew more from my stash. Because it's wonderful fabric. Obviously, it's all fabric that I love because I bought it, and it's already here, and I don't have to spend money on it, right? I should use it. And so this is, like, as I said, the perennial goal for anyone with a stash is to sew more from their stash. And now let's move to knitting goals. It has been a while since I talked about knitting on this channel, because it has been a while since I have actually knit it seriously. I was looking at my Ravelry page a couple days ago, and the last time that I actually finished a knitted garment was in December 2019. Even though I've had projects going all along. Which brings me to my first goal, is to actually finish my 3 long-term works in progress. One of them is the Falling Snow Scarf by Pearl Soho. It's almost finished. I think I have like maybe 30 rounds of color work, and this is a scarf, so it's small. Like 30 rounds of color work to go before it's finished, so I should be able to finish it this year. The second one is a sweater, is the Amaranth sweater by, I think it's a Webs, so the yarn.com pattern. But the name of the designer is Julie Turgeman, and I'm pretty sure that I butchered that name, but I will leave a link to the pattern in the description. And then the third project is one that I have been working on since 2016. And it is a scarf, friends. I should have been able to just finish this thing. It is the ombre scarf. No, it's the ombre wrap from Pearl Soho. This is in the color pink, well, the pink ombre color. And the reason that it has taken me this long, and I'm on the last color, so I have made progress. The reason that it has taken me this long to finish is because it is a seed stitch. So you purl one, you knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, all throughout. And I am a thrower. I knit English style, and that means that every time I have to go from a knit to a purl, I have to drop my yarn, bring it to the front, and it just takes forever. And the way that it has worked out is that I can never do more than 2 rounds, or 2 rows, because it's knit flat, 2 rows of knitting this thing before I want to throw it out the window. And it is also knit in a fingering weight yarn with tiny needles. So all of that has come together to make this a literal, I'm hoping not 10-year project, but you know, like a long time. 2016, that's a long time. So that is my number 1 goal for knitting in 2023, is to finish those 3 works in progress. My second goal for knitting this year is to actually knit more regularly. I hardly knit anything in 2022 or 2021. Actually, in 2021, I barely knit anything. And then in 2022, I finished 4 things. One, well, actually, they were all hats. One was in April, and I made that for my son. And then I finished 3 hats in December when I picked up knitting again. And I had a lot of time in December. And again, to the instant gratification, hats are quick, hats are small, so you can knit them quickly. But this year I want to knit more. I'm not going to say knit every day, because I do have a lot of other hobbies and I do a lot of other things, but I want to knit more regularly than I have been in the past. And my last knitting goal for 2023 is to learn to knit brioche. I love the look of a brioche stitch, scarf, hat, whatever it may be. But I have watched a few tutorial videos, and it seems impossible to me. So I'm hoping to learn with a person rather than just online. I'm a self-taught knitter. Literally everything I know about knitting I learned either by trial and error or by watching videos. When I taught myself to knit back in 2009, I did it with DVDs from the library. But not brioche. I don't think I can learn brioche that way. So that is a goal of mine for this year. And now let's move to the goals for this channel in general. My number 1 goal for this channel is to be more consistent in my posting. So I have been on here for a long time. I want to say since 2015. But I've never really been regular in posting. Actually, that's not true. I was during a time when I was doing like mostly vlog, like live vlog things. I was pretty consistent then. But those videos I find are easy to make. When you are making videos based on things you made, you know, you have to make the thing, you have to record the making of the thing or the review of the thing, you wearing the thing, and then sit down and talk to the camera. So it's a little more complicated, but I want to be more consistent in my posting. I'm currently not working. My last day of work was just before the Christmas break. And so I'm home while I get another job. So I'm going to have a little bit more time. So at least in this time that I have available between jobs, I want to try to be a little bit more consistent with my posting. I love making videos. I love the editing. I love the sitting here and talking to you. But even though actually this channel has grown a lot while I haven't even been posting, I don't think the videos are being shown to the people who follow me, the people who subscribe, because I'm just not consistent. And the stupid algorithm likes people to be consistent. So that's my number one goal for this channel in 2023. My number two goal for this channel for this year, when it comes to making things, is to do more process videos. So I tend to do more review videos in which I sit here and I tell you about the pattern, I tell you about my process of sewing without actually showing you my process of sewing. You know, do a little model, tell you what I think about it. So basically what I've been doing for the most part has been a video version of reviews that I write in, say, pattern review or something like that. But I want to do more process videos. Not every step, because honestly, I would not sit and watch a video about me or anyone making a whole thing from beginning to end. I can't think of anything more boring. But there are parts of the process that I think are very interesting, especially if it's a more involved garment or special technique or whatever. And so I want to do a little bit more of the process and not exclusively video style, review style videos. Number three goal for the channel is to make more tutorials. So the last tutorial, well, I've made a few tutorials, but I made a tutorial last year. Was it 20? I say last year, I think it's still 2022. I can't remember if it was in early 2022 or if it was in 2021. I made a tutorial about how to attach a collar with stand in a super neat way, and it has been really popular, and I really liked making that video. And so I want to make more tutorials. Not every video is going to be a tutorial, because tutorials take even more time than process videos, but definitely make more tutorials because I like it. I'm a teacher, so like, you know, that's what I do. And so yeah, more tutorials. So if you have any tutorials that you would like to see me make, please let me know in the comments, and I'll look into it. And number four and final goal for the channel is to make more vlog style videos. I absolutely loved doing vlog style videos. But I felt like sort of my everyday life was kind of boring, and then we went through the pandemic and it was really boring. And I tend to do vlogs only when I'm traveling or when I'm doing something special, which I guess is fine. Like, nobody wants to see your boring everyday life. But there are, I think, other ways to make vlog style videos that are entertaining and also tie in with the way that this channel has evolved, because this was not a sewing channel. This was not a making channel to begin with. It was very much a vlog channel, and it was growing slowly, but I was getting more views than I do now, which is kind of wild. And so I want to bring making and vlogging together because I enjoy it. And the way that this channel has sort of evolved into what it is now, I guess was organic, because it's just what I was doing with my life. So in many ways, it is in fact a representation of my life, even if it's not a straight up vlog. But the realization that I have come to is that obviously I like to do a lot of things. This is why I call myself the serial hobbyist girl. But deep down, I am a maker. And making, yes, sewing is making, knitting is making, but making videos is making. And I'm a maker. That's just deep down, that's what drives me, is the making of things. And I didn't realize how much I loved making until the last few years. So that is a very long-winded way of saying that vlogs are making, and I want to do more of them in the coming year. And that is all. It sounds like a lot. I don't know, as I'm here recording, but I think there are more sort of open-ended type goals that if I told you I want to make this pattern, that other pattern, because I am past that point, I guess, in my sewing. I don't want my sewing to be dictated by random plans I made at the beginning of the year, which is kind of what I felt like when I did the Make 9 a few years ago. So these are more sort of open-ended goals, rather than specific things. I don't know if that makes any sense. It makes sense in my head. But anyway, if you have made it this far, you're a superstar. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you, hopefully, next time. Bye.